Jai Shri Ram. I am making this video so that all students, all Hindus must understand some very important and interesting facts about the American polity. Polity. Polity is a word which means a people who have a proper government. Okay. Now, Bill of Rights is one of the important charters. There are three charters of America. Charter means the word charter has so many meanings depending on the context in which it is being used. So, the charters of America means the American Constitution, Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights. Now, this Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the American Constitution, is very important for every one of us, every Hindu to know, so that in any debate, because after all, our Constitution was made by examining all other constitutions. And that was a good thing to do. There's nothing wrong because the Veda says, Ano Bhadra Kratavo Yantu Vishwataha. Let noble thoughts come from everywhere. So, in that spirit, our constitution was built, was created after studying all the important constitutions of major nations and all that. So that part is okay. I have no problem with that. But then today we Hindus are living like third class citizens in this country, and our temples are looted routinely. And when we put money in the hundi, the government loots it. And the biggest landholder after the government of India is the Christian Church and the Waqf Board, these two. After the partition and Pakistan was created, all land should have been taken up by the government, except probably a few important religious places. But instead of that, they have looted, and the land given by the East India Company and the Queen to the Christians, they are still retaining it. And Christian population in the country is a minority, maybe 2%. How can 2% of people have so much land? At least now the government should wake up and completely confiscate all the land owned by the Christian Church and the Waqf Board. But instead, Congress government passed that Waqf Board Act, and this nonsense is continuing even now. So we have to examine our own constitution and perhaps redraft a new constitution, because either it is not working or we don't have the political will to enforce what is there in the constitution. So now Bill of Rights, these are the first 10 are called the Bill of Rights, first 10 amendments. Actually 27 amendments they have made to their constitution in so many 300 years nearly. Whereas we have made, we have to check, I don't know, I think we have made more than 120 amendments. Just imagine if you have a shirt which is torn in 120 places. Should you continue to get it stitched and wear the shirt, or should you buy a new shirt? Simple analogy, okay? So I just want you to listen carefully. So the first one is actually freedom of religion, speech, press, assembly and petition, right? That is the first one. The second one, unfortunately in America, they have the right to bear arms. Now, right to bear arms, not the right to wolf arms or bison arms. I am just punning on the word. This, I think they should have had the political wisdom to scrap this. You see the amount of gun violence there, gun related violence. Even school kids are getting guns from home and shooting dead their teachers and students. So this kind of nonsense. See, this was introduced as an amendment. I don't remember in which year it was introduced. See, 1776 they got freedom. America got freedom from this UK, this brute UK. In 1776, I think July 4th. So at that time, America was still largely uninhabited and lawlessness was rampant. These cowboys and all kinds of dacoits were having a free run. Therefore, people were allowed to keep arms, guns. Today in 2023, do you think they still need guns? I think all these guns should be confiscated. I don't have to explain this. It was this amendment to allow Americans to keep guns, weapons, the right to bear arms was relevant at that time, not now. But do they have the political will? No. So this is their problem anyway. In spite of all the violence, gun related violence, still they are mindlessly hanging on to this. They don't have the political courage. They need a statesman like Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln, in my opinion is the greatest prophet of the Western world, because he had the courage to abolish slavery, which even Jesus Christ did not. Jesus Christ, on the contrary, in the Bible you will notice, Christ was giving advice to slaves to be nice even to their masters who beat them. So, instead of actually abolishing slavery, Christ bent over backwards to appease the slave masters, which I think is unacceptable. Therefore, I think Abraham Lincoln, who had the courage and he paid with his life, he was assassinated because the people in the southern part of America, they wanted slaves to run their plantations. And in fact, if you look up history, you will be shocked. They used to justify slavery on the grounds that it is there in the Bible. The Bible was used to justify the institution of slavery. Institution means a custom. So, now I told you whatever I told you. So, this right to bear arms should be thrown out. And Fourth Amendment is search and seizure. That means we should have the right to not be invaded. You know, if the police have a free run, they can just barge into your house and ransack your house. What is the use of freedom? Of course, if there is a reasonable suspicion that some terror related activities are going on, and in public institutions like schools, there should be CCTV. But in madrasas there is no CCTV. CCTVs are there in the temples, but they are not there in the churches and madrasas. This is again nonsensical, because we Hindus are being treated like slaves in our own country. So there were 27 amendments to the Constitution. Okay, beginning with the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments, ratified December 15, 1791. Ratify means to give official approval. Okay, James Madison was the chief author of the Bill of Rights and thus of the First Amendment. He was the foremost champion of religious liberty. You know that Madison Square, na? So he was the foremost champion of religious liberty, freedom of speech and the freedom of press. Now I am just going to read out this article. Religious liberty, also known as freedom of religion, is the right of all persons to believe, speak and act individually and in community with others, in private and in public, in accord with their understanding of ultimate truth. You see, this line is important. In accord with my understanding of the ultimate truth. So, in our country, we are being terrorized, because we Hindus are being terrorized because they are making movies ridiculing Hinduism, and abusing Hinduism has become the norm. While Hindus, even if we criticize just slightly, you know what happened to Nupur Sharma. So this is a sad state. I don't know how long we are going to tolerate this nonsense. So my understanding of ultimate truth is Rama, Krishna. So why should they have any objection to that? While we are, and anyway, the azan 5 times in a day, we are being repeatedly told that there is only one God and that is Allah. So this is again actually an assault on the ears, and everyone should protest. This should be stopped. So anyway, that is another very controversial issue. Speaking about that will itself be considered an offense, but I think it is high time we start talking about these things. And let us read further. The acknowledgement of religious freedom as the first right protected in the Bill of Rights point towards the American founders' understanding of the importance of religion to human, social and political flourishing. Freedom of religion is protected by the First Amendment through its Establishment Clause and Free Exercise Clause, which together form the religious liberty clauses of the First Amendment. The first clause prohibits any governmental establishment of religion, and the second prohibits any governmental interference with the free exercise thereof. What is happening in our country? Government is routinely looting our temples, interfering. Our Hindu temple boards are constituted with Muslims and Christians on them. What can we? How can a person who subscribes to another religion have any faith in this? Why should he be allowed to sit on the even Tirumala Tirupati TTD also has Christians, and in many other temples Muslims are working. Would they allow Hindus to work in their Jama Masjid? So this kind of nonsense is still going on, and the hypocrisy we are tolerating. So governmental interference should be completely stopped. These clauses of the First Amendment encompass the two big arenas of religion in constitutional law. Establishment cases deal with the Constitution's ban on Congress. Now, Congress in America, the word Congress means both the houses, the House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. So, right, endorsing, promoting, or becoming too involved with religion. Free exercise cases deals with Americans' right to practice their faith. So please read this very carefully, and let us make sure that someday we shake up our public representatives, and unless every Hindu wakes up to these realities and fights for the freedom, in spite of being the majority, in spite of having allowed the partition of and creation of Pakistan on the basis of religion, Muslims who are still living here are free to live here, but they should understand and they should stop encroaching on Hindu rights, and this country will remain secular as long as Hindus are in majority. In fact, I would be very glad if I am allowed into a church to pray or into a mosque to pray. But of course, I don't, as long as they stop the conversion business and stop harming Hindu society in insidious ways. Unfortunately, their holy books promote proselytization, because the dogma is that only people of their religion will go to heaven and all infidels will go to eternal hell. So this is a serious problem. They must either edit their holy books or do something about it. Otherwise, we Hindus will continue to live like third class citizens, and I cannot take this anymore. I am fed up of this situation, and all these so called big leaders, nobody has the courage to openly question this. We are not even allowed to debate it. Jai Shri Ram.